Okay, welcome my friends to the show that never ends, and we've got two games to discuss with Wycombe, both home games, one against Cambridge and the other against Morecambe. Now remember, last week I believe, Kieran, we spoke about the next four games. We wanted 9 points, was it, out of the four games?
I think we said 10, but 10. We wanted wins. That's what we kind of said.
Yeah, it's wins, not a loss and a draw. No. Okay, so we've got those two games to discuss. That will be our first discussion. I also want to discuss the big losers in the European Cup and comments that they previously said about, well, they don't want to play the little teams because they're rubbish. And they've been kicked out by the little teams because they're rubbish. And also then Kieran will do his couple of sentences per game and see
do we have to
could manage not to cry
again.
But we'll see. I have actually also watched the West Ham United game. I did see the Arsenal game as well, which I needed some decent football after yesterday. So we'll come to that then, shall we? And also just say no managers have been sacked this week.
Oh, that's a shame. Don't worry, Jurgen will be next week.
Yeah, Jurgen. Yeah.
And Gareth, maybe, who knows?
Yeah, and there'll be all those Manchester United little podcasts having a good laugh at Liverpool, yeah?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, let's hit off then with the Cambridge game on Tuesday. Oh, why do I not go on Tuesdays? Probably because that is what you can get just to kill your week completely. I don't know really where to start because, well, I think we'll start with Peter Wright. Now, Peter Wright neither plays for Wycombe and nor does Peter Wright play for Cambridge. But Peter Wright runs around the football pitch making decisions. And Peter Wright, I want to drill that name home. I haven't ever really picked out referees. I'm not a nasty referee person, but I'm afraid Peter Wright, just in case you ever come across him again, if you hear that Peter Wright is going to be refereeing a game, don't go, is what I would suggest. Just don't go. The only advantage for Peter Wright to be refereeing a game is if you go 1-0 up. And then it's great having Peter Wright as the referee because it basically means you can roll along the floor for the rest of the game pretending you're injured and he'll do absolutely nothing about it.
Oh, people will love the fact that we did a bit on time wasting last week, won't they?
Yeah, I think Cambridge watched it, Kieran.
But the
Cambridge must have watched last week's programme.
You should point out that you're not annoyed that they do time wasting.
No,
because
I'm not
because people
annoyed.
Will pick up on that.
Really, we should start at the beginning of the game, but we will. I want to make this clear. I have nothing against what Cambridge did. I thought Cambridge played the perfect game. And I don't care that people call them cheats. Every footballer cheats on that football pitch. If you think your team are good and everybody else cheats, I'm sorry, I think you're a bit blind.
Even in our little Christian Saturday league, there was enough cheating going on in that one.
Yeah, you'll just ask for a bit of forgiveness another moment.
And you're fine.
Afterwards. You'll just get forgiveness afterwards. Yeah. So I have nothing wrong with Cambridge, but it's the referee has to make those decisions. The referee had to stop it. When the goalkeeper goes down for the 10th time asking for the medics on, you think, this is just taking the mickey just a little bit much. So what happened? Cambridge played Wycombe Wanderers at Wycombe Wanderers game. It was as simple as that. They were the perfect, good Wycombe Wanderers football team. Wycombe dominated the beginning. Cambridge scored. That was really the end of the game. You can look at 3-2 thinking, oh, that looks quite exciting. It wasn't exciting. In the second, it wasn't. Cambridge were always winning that game from 1-0 up, as far as I could make out. They dragged the game in the second half. It couldn't have been worse. It was one of my worst nights at a football match. It wasn't because Wycombe weren't any good. It wasn't because Cambridge weren't any good, anything like that. It was just nothing happened. Even though the score was 3-2, nothing happened. It was just boring. Football is supposed to be entertaining. And if Wycombe had won that 3-2, I'd be on here saying how bad it was, because it was boring and Cambridge just wasted so much time and just took all of our suggestions to the limit. There should have been something like about 20 minutes added for the second half, I reckon. And when the linesman held up the 7 minutes to go, you thought, oh, God, not another 7 minutes. And it wasn't a case of we want as much time to come back as possible. It was, oh, not more of this.
I thought we were all right. I thought what I heard was that we actually played quite well and
We
that they
did.
didn't deserve to be.
No,
So why are you saying it's boring then?
because it never got the chance, because every time anything breathed, they were rolling around on the floor and the game was stopped, or the game went for a goal kick. And I know we waste time. We talked about it, but this just took it to an extra limit.
So
And
was
the
the
referee took no interest. Well, he couldn't give a monkeys. They could have spent an hour wasting time in the second half, and he probably wouldn't have blown his whistle for the end of the second. He just didn't seem to have a clue.
So the idea is that even though you're time wasting, the idea is that the referee is supposed to, move you on a little bit.
Yeah, just a bit.
So the game kind of keeps flowing, but there's still a bit of time wasting going on. Whereas this guy was like, no, go and time waste.
Yeah, I mean, he was offering it as a sort of, I mean, Morecambe wasted time yesterday. But so they should. They're trying to drag the game out at the end to get their point. Fair enough. I'm quite happy with that. And the referee sort of controlled that a bit. But Cambridge, the bloke is no, I'm not going to use names, but referee, he isn't. You cannot call him a referee. He refereed nothing. And I've got his name here, Peter Wright. Okay, Peter, if you're watching, find something else to do. Because that was shocking. And as for Wycombe actually playing football when they got the opportunity in the game, we weren't very good. We weren't good. No, the back line. I mean, they had 3 big chances to defend and defended none of them. But did you see who was missing in that lineup?
I can't remember.
Right, well, I'll tell you.
You can't remember either.
Well, I do, but I'll just I mean, just to give you a clue. I mean, we did remember get it back to 1-1, which was a bit of a shock. But just to say, I mean, the back 3, okay, were Grimmer, Mawson, and Jacobson. Grimmer, please hang up your football boots. Please.
No, we can't say that. we can't help. We can criticize players, but we can't tell them to retire.
Okay, we can't. How old is
So what? So
he? He
what?
must
What?
be. He must be knocking on a bit now. He's
He's
28.
not.
He's 28.
Yeah, that's like
Time
prime.
to give up.
That's
Time
his
to go.
prime, supposedly.
Yeah, I think they gave him a 5.7 in that game, which seems a bit high to me. Um, yeah, he no, um, no, and and goalkeeper Max, he had three things to jump at and missed all three. Difficult to tell whether they were really his fault. Fault was not his fault really. Um, I think Mawson had a desperate game as well. I mean, it just wasn't the back three's game really. And the snag, Freeman in the middle when he starts, I'm looking. Oh, is Freeman starting is not. He's a sub. I'm sorry, Freeman. You just stay on the bench, mate, and come on for the last 10 minutes so we can keep saying it's a shame he ought to start him sometimes because when he does start,
It's a shame, isn't it, that the fitness and kind of fixture schedule doesn't allow for us to start the same back three week in, week out.
that's right.
Because I mean, Grimmer, Mawson, and Jacobson. How many down the line is that? Like off probably option number 5 or 6 in terms of like the three that we'd want to start. Because the three that we want to start would be Farino, Mawson, and Tapazzoli, and then he's thrown in Jacobson and Grimmer. So you've taken out 2 already, and then there's a couple of other people who could play
Yeah,
there, and yeah, it's not
yeah. So
ideal.
we're getting our forwards back, and we've now lost our back three,
Hmm.
which isn't good, is it?
No,
Do we have a squad? That's the question. Uh, I mean, Wing actually was really good. I thought the problem with that is it's not very often.
no.
He's not very consistent. But isn't that League One?
Isn't that every centre mid slash attacking midfielder in every division below the Premier League?
Probably, yeah.
But he's more inconsistent than most, yes.
Yes, he is. He's inconsistent, very. Obita, I thought, didn't have a bad game, to be honest. He had a lot to do, and I didn't think he played particularly bad. McCleary, who knows where he was? Who knows where he was? It
Mm-hmm.
gone out, I think. And I can only say that I don't get many chances to go to Tuesday matches, and I'm missing this week's against Port Vale because I'll be at work. What a dreadful one to have gone to.
We'll probably win the next one.
Yeah, more than likely, because we won the previous 3 games that I hadn't gone to.
You've been to 2 and we
And I've been to
cocked 'em
2
up.
against the teams we're supposed to beat and haven't managed. To be fair, Vokes didn't do too bad. But where do I go? Cambridge were good. I thought Cambridge were good. They did everything right. And that was the time wasting included. They did
Yeah,
everything right. And that was the referee's fault.
fair enough.
That was. I would say there was one thing that I didn't like. There was one thing I didn't like. And that is goal scorers who run up to the fence when they've scored and start making faces at the crowd.
Mm.
Thought that was a bit disrespectful. Don't like that. He should be running off down the other end to cheer with his group of fans because Cambridge have won bugger all for 6 matches or something. And they should be celebrating the goal, not taking the mickey out of people that they don't know. I mean, why take the mickey out of the crowd? I don't know.
I would, I would agree with you, and I do, but I'm not sure saying that it's disrespectful to the crowd is the right way of saying it because, but the crowd will have a go at him a lot, and that's where he's kind of coming from.
Yeah,
But is it provoking towards a crowd? Yes. Is that a bad thing? Yes, because it's just gonna aggravate more and more people, and we obviously don't need that. And in terms of safety, people don't need that. So that's why I would say was bad about it.
now, how bad actually were Wycombe? Well, no, we weren't that bad, is the truth. I mean, I'm picking fault with players and saying he was all right and he wasn't. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
Just plugging
Um,
in.
I mean, we had 66% of the ball, Kieran, so we were never going to win. Um,
No.
expected goals was 2.04, theirs was 1.24, and they scored 3 out of that. Okay. We
Clinical.
had 24 shots to their 10, and we missed one big chance. Our accurate passes, right, 300 to their 126. We had 11 corners to their 2. We hit the woodwork. We had 17 shots inside the box.
But does this not always happen whenever we play the possession game? We always lose.
Yeah. And
Literally every
just to
single
mention,
time.
all those accurate passes weren't the Oxford style of back to goalkeeper. 186 of the
300.
300 passes were in their half, not ours.
Yeah.
We played good football and we created
Good
good
football.
chances and lost 3-2.
Yep. That's how we can do it.
But the main thing was the game was shocking because of the drag of the second half was just the cheating, just the referee, no control. That's Cambridge. Come home, got over it, had other things to worry about, had a few alcoholic beverages, went and saw a great group on Friday night up in London, was raring to go. Next game, Morecambe, bottom of the league. No worries.
Are we going to blame the referee on this one as well?
No, I wish I could.
You do it. You might as well. We've done one.
okay, I will. Were Morecambe any good?
No.
No. They weren't very good. There's a reason at the bottom of the league, and it was obvious why. Okay. Wycombe, were Wycombe any good? I thought so. I thought we were quite good, especially in the first half. Some of that passing, long ball football. Wycombe are not a long ball football team anymore. That is for sure. We still play with 3 at the back, but we've got 3 now, thank goodness, because he scored the goal. What a good goal, wasn't it?
Again.
I thought he had a great game. One time he missed one thing, but they didn't score from it, and he got told off. I saw Mawson gave him a rollicking, but generally I thought he had a pretty good game. I thought Wycombe had a pretty good game. Overall, I thought, yeah, looked pretty good. Mametti annoyed me. A little bit. He seems to come and go in games. If we're on top, he's on top. If we're not on top, he disappears and you don't see him. You could
Tends to
say
be
nobody gives him the ball at that moment, but that's not quite right somehow. I'm not quite sure. Um, but but let's be frank about this. We won 3-0 and we're all happy. Did you see
No,
all of
because
that game.
they didn't include it on the highlights.
Right. Well, they did on the TV program. So you might be able to sort of get that on your little iPad job on the chat. What is it on
Channel
ITV2?
5.
Whatever it is, Channel 5. If anybody
Um,
really wants to know what happened in that game, you will soon find out, because the truth of the matter is Wycombe went 1-0 up. Wycombe went 2-0 up, but goal disallowed. Goal disallowed cannot for the life of me work out why. They said it was pushing by Vokes, I think. But you look at it on there, nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with it. He does not push a soul. He jumps and heads it, and in it goes. No reason. Their players weren't complaining, but it was disallowed. Don't know why, really. I presume, I don't know. That was why, I think. Next was their goal never crossed the line. You never saw that then.
I saw that, but I couldn't
Goalkeeper
tell.
dives. Yeah, you must have seen the goal. Goalkeeper dives. His arm is on the line,
Hmm.
and he pushes the ball out, and the goal is given. But it couldn't be because his arm's on the line. You can see that, can't you?
I'm just having a look at it now. Uh,
Does the whole ball cross the line, Kieran?
it looks unlikely.
Yeah, it doesn't, does it? But the
No.
linesman gave that one.
This linesman's on that side. Can he actually see?
There's too much crowd, isn't there?
There's Freeman who's actually right in the way of the post, so he wouldn't have been able to see properly.
No,
He's guessed. He has
yeah.
guessed.
So that was not a goal. They did not score. So we are, in theory, 2-0 up. And then in the last seconds of the game, we score another. And it's sort of bundled in and it's disallowed. And I'm thinking, why? And then they explained it on the TV program later that they said it was a foul on the goalkeeper. But nobody fouled the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper went, Vokes came in, sort of won the ball moves on, goalkeeper goes down and gets a free kick,
Mm.
and the ball is in the net. And so he gave it for a foul that was never committed. So, in fact, Wycombe won that 3-0. Now, I'm not one to moan about refs. Ho, 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 am I? But that did rather change the game, didn't it?
Yeah.
3-0
They
or 1-1. Did we play badly? No, we didn't play badly. Did we deserve to win? Dead right, we deserved to win. We scored 3 goals. They didn't score any.
frustrating.
What can you do about that? Really, what can you do? All 3 decisions went against Wycombe. Any one of those decisions had been right, Wycombe would have won the game.
Mm. Bring back Peter
Morecambe
Wright.
were lucky. Morecambe were lucky.
Bring back Peter Wright.
Yeah, bring back Peter Wright. We would have gone 1-0 up and wasted time
Yeah.
to the end. So I don't know what else to say about that game, because you can talk about, he played well, he didn't play well, he played well, he didn't play. But the truth of the matter is the referee made it
Decided the
1-1
outcome. Yeah.
in total. I mean, it wasn't just one decision like a handball in the box. It wasn't that. It wasn't one decision. It was
3.
3 goals saying that one is when it wasn't. and those two aren't when they were. They're big, big, big decisions, all three, and they all went against Wycombe, even though he was wrong on all three. I wouldn't. I mean, I know I'm biased, but I'm afraid the ball does have to cross the line. It does, and it
You're
didn't.
sticking by that one.
Aren't you?
Well, it doesn't look like it does it? And he can't be sure of the decision he's made because Freeman is standing in front. Like,
Yeah.
even if it has crossed the line, he still can't be sure. So,
No, it wasn't a goal. It wasn't a goal. So, what happens next?
well, because there's obviously been us saying that we need a certain amount of points from the next 4 or 5 games, whatever it was, and we're already not going to get that. Partly down to refereeing decisions.
Yeah, not only. I mean, that came
Not
to the
only,
game.
of
We
course,
weren't great. I don't.
of
We
course,
were all right, but we weren't great.
you can put the game to bed, can't you? But is we'll say this for the millionth time this season. Is that it? Are we now saying that we're not going to go anywhere this season?
No, we've only got to win the next game with a few of those teams above us. Not. We've got Port Vale. We're in 13th, and we're playing Port Vale in 12th.
Mm.
And then we've got Forest Green. Oh, we've got a FA Cup match after that. But then we've got Forest Green away, which gives us a bit more hope. We're going away. I'm going. I got my Forest Green ticket.
You're going to Forest Green?
Yeah.
Why?
I quite fancy it. I just thought it'd be different.
Fair enough.
It
is different, I have to say.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be. I mean, there's a chance we might never ever play them again, unless we go down with them.
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be interesting. I had a choice of 3 tickets to. There's only 300 on sale at the moment. They're hoping
300.
Yeah.
How far away is it?
I don't know. Look it up.
Do you know?
No, I never bothered looking.
Don't
even know where it is in the country. It's not near Carlisle, by the
You're gonna have to get up at like 2 a.m. Wycombe to Forest Green.
East. I mean, I'm not even sure which direction. If I was to get in a car, I wouldn't know whether to go north, east, south, or west.
No, I don't know. Hence why Forest Green's actually not a place. I only found this out the other day. Forest Green's just like.
That's why I've never heard of it.
it's in Nailsworth, apparently.
Nailsworth.
Wycombe to Nailsworth. Oh, come on, laptop. Don't cock me up. Wycombe to Nailsworth.
Well,
it is 1 hour and 52.
Well, there you go. Not far at all.
No. Hour and 22.
Oh, so that's fine. Then.
Driving.
If we leave about 8:30 in the morning, we'll get enough time at the pub.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be fine, mate.
Yeah.
No need to leave at 2, I suppose.
No, there you go then.
You would have thought, considering it's not that far away, that we would have at least heard of the place. Apparently not.
Yeah, it's obviously not large, is it? But anyway, yeah, I had a choice of 3 tickets: sitting undercover, standing undercover, or standing not undercover.
Yeah.
So I've gone for standing undercover.
Probably a good idea.
Didn't fancy the sitting because it don't look. It sort of crossed my mind that if it's a crap place, the seats aren't going to be particularly comfortable anyway. So I thought I'd rather stand anyway. I stand at Wycombe, so that's fine. Admittedly, I'll be with the rabble, won't I? Because they'll be. The rabble will go for the standing.
The rabble?
Yeah.
They'll appreciate being called that. Yeah.
The noisy ones. Yeah. I'll have to learn some swear words, won't I?
You
Talking of
probably
which,
well, they
there were
probably
three young lads behind me on Saturday who got told to shut up by some bloke for the
good.
language. Oh, God. I mean, really, really, some parents. I thought
I
about
mean,
filming them and putting it on YouTube under a different title to try and get as many people to see them as possible.
it will be taken down.
Yeah,
To be fair, most of these kids probably would have been to your youth club, so
yeah, more than likely. Um, anyway, so that's that. Juventus. Juventus, what did I say that for? We're coming to them shortly. That's what's on my mind. So we still have Plymouth sat there at the top then, and Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday nicely in third, Peterborough in fourth. Portsmouth seem to be having a little bit of a bother, don't they?
dropping off slightly, but they're not losing.
In their last five matches, admittedly they weren't all in the league, but they're having a bit of a tough time here. They drew. They've drawn the last two. Well, actually, looking at this, 1, 2, 3, 4. In their last five matches, they've only actually won one of them,
Yeah,
1-0
but they have
against
drawn
Forest
three.
Green. Against
Mm.
Forest Green, they lost again 3-0 against Charlton, drew against Fleetwood, Oxford, and Shrewsbury. And before that, they lost to Ipswich. Before that, they drew against Plymouth. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've only won one in the last 7 games in the league.
Mm.
They're dropping, aren't they?
They are, but it's easier to go from losses to wins. Easier to go from draws to wins than it is losses to wins. And as I say, they have only lost two.
Yeah,
So it could be a lot worse, but they do seem to be dropping off slightly.
yeah,
They do have the lowest number of wins in the top six. So,
yeah.
I mean, they've only won one more than us. So,
Well, Morecambe are now off the bottom and stick on Burton there down the bottom. So Burton, Morecambe, Forest Green, MK Dons are still in that bottom four. Just hovering above them there at Accrington. And then there's a 4-point gap from the MK Dons in 21st to Cheltenham at 19th, along with Oxford, both with 18 points. So Wycombe have only got 21, mind you, but that's 7 points more than the MK Dons have in that bottom four. So
yeah, there's a solid distance.
it's a fair enough distance with enough teams behind us who aren't also doing particularly great. I see our goal difference actually is 21 for, 21 against.
Yep,
Uh, we are really average, aren't we?
we
One,
are average,
one
yes.
six, drawn 3, lost 7, 21 for, 21 against, 21 points out of 16 games. We are average. We are in 13th.
And that is potentially where we might stay.
Which is what we keep saying. And then they go and win a game and we live with
And
it.
then we get excited again.
Then we get excited.
Story of football, isn't it? You get
It
hope,
is.
and then it crashes down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. On big, big scale with certain teams.
Indeed.
Okay. Right. Okay. What we're moving on to now is I'd like to discuss the Champions League a little bit, just a bit. Okay. Now, of course, we had a little while ago the president of Juventus, Andre Agnelli. Andre Agnelli, I think.
I just wanted you to say it again. Don't worry.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. This was what his comments back in October 19 was. If we think about the group stage of the Champions League, all of us can guess 15 out of 16 who will qualify for the last 16. He told his audience at the Leaders Sport Business Summit, as you do, We've never been invited, have we? The first two teams in each group of the Champions League are probably already written. We want to find more relevant games.
He's literally he's described what seeding is, essentially.
Yes. Of course, that was after their ninth consecutive Serie A title, twice runners-up and twice beaten quarter-finalists in the previous 5 seasons. And they were certainties, weren't they? Right. Well, in 19 to 20, all 16 clubs left from the knockout, blah, 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 were from the Europe's Big Five. Okay. There were 4 teams from La Liga, 4 from the Premier League, 3 from Bundesliga, 3 from Serie A, and 2 from Liga 1. None from Portugal, Netherlands, Scotland, Russia, Turkey, Greece, or any others. In 2021, there were 4 from Bundesliga and Liga 1, 3 from Premier League and Serie A, and 1 from the other one.
4 from Liga?
No, that was, sorry, La Liga.
Right.
And then 1 from League 1, sorry. And there was 1 extra. And that was 1 team from Portugal. I think it was Porto, wasn't it?
Yep.
In 21-22, there were 4 outside of those top 5 leagues. 2 from Portugal, 1 from Netherlands, and 1 from Austria. And in this year already, we have. So last season it was we had Benfica, Sporting Lisbon, we had Ajax and the Red Bull Salzburg. This season we already have a Club Bruges, Benfica, Porto, Sporting. We've got Salzburg, Shakhtar Donetsk. They could all join still the last 16. Do you reckon their president's happy now? Because he's got a bit of excitement going on. Wasn't he bored? Was he bored? Probably not, because his team have been knocked out, Juventus, haven't they?
Can we point out Juventus are in the group with PSG, Benfica, and Maccabi Haifa. They have 3 points from 5 games.
Exactly. So where are Juventus, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Seville? They're all out. Oh, good, I say, because aren't all these teams the ones that wanted that Super League because it becomes so boring because they just automatically qualify every time? Bit of a drag having to play all these little teams. Funny that, because Spurs and AC Milan are in real jeopardy in there as well, still, all basing it all on the last game. So did they really have a case for a Super League? Because that is about to return for another conversation. Can you believe?
Whoa.
Okay. Now, Manchester United, Barcelona, Juventus, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, possibly Spurs, Milan, Sevilla are already out. All these teams aren't in the last 16. And they won a Super League. What makes them think they're good enough? In Atletico, Barca and Sevilla, only 3 wins out of 15 games amongst the lot of them.
When you put it like that, sounds a bit rubbish, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Who wants to be in Super League? Don't sound super to me. Sounds like a bunch of losers to me. Atletico have scored just 4 goals in their 5 games. And you can't say they're playing super teams like City, etc., because in their group are Bruges, Porto, and Bayer Leverkusen. And so they're not even playing the so-called big teams.
Well, they
They're
got put
playing
in
the
the
little
easy group.
ones.
They
They're
got put in
supposed
the
to be
easy
the
group.
favourites. Okay. And they've only been managed to score 4 goals in those 5 games so far. The Premier League hasn't changed their league position either. They're not exactly bombing along Atletico, are they, in their league? I don't think.
No, they are not. They're third, but they're miles behind Barca and Madrid.
So, what's happening in 2 years' time? Not next year, the year after. You see, Liverpool might not make it into Europe this year. Good chance, yeah?
Yeah.
Good chance Liverpool might not. Some big teams aren't, are they? I mean, there's no way we will automatically get our. I mean, who are our top 4? We don't have a top 4 anymore. We've got top 6 or top 7. Is what we've got
What?
top 7?
Well, if you want to whack Newcastle in there,
Yeah,
at least 3 will miss out, won't they?
exactly. So, what occurs in 2 years' time? Liverpool might miss out this time, but don't panic, Kieran, because they won't miss out the year after. There is no way they can
Thank
miss out.
goodness.
It doesn't matter where they arrive, as long as they can get in the top 7. They got to get in the top 7 to start to be able. Okay, and
Might be
that works
difficult.
because not next year, but the year after, they're playing by the Swiss model. I've discussed this before, but this is important now because it's so close and because of the way football's changed. And I'll let you have a go at explaining everything to everybody in a minute regarding what's been going on in Europe. I want your opinions. Yeah. Okay. It won't be just 32 teams playing in groups of 4, 6 groups of 4, whatever it is, 8 groups of 4, isn't it? It'll be 36 teams. There'll be 36 in a league. They'll be seeded in that league on historic performance. They play 5 home and 5 away. They won't be playing the same teams, home and away. So they're going to be playing 10 games against different teams from top to bottom, and they'll be okay. So the top 8 go into the next round, and the next 16 go into playoffs, and only 6 are kicked out of that. So out of 36, only 6 leave that round. It's to stop Barcelona being kicked out. They're trying to make a safety net for Barcelona, etc., so they won't get kicked out at this stage. So only 6 teams out of 36 will get kicked out. Then the next lot of 24, then we go into their knockout stages. That guarantees every team 10 games instead of 6, making more money. It also makes sure that there's a lot more exciting games, because who wants to watch all these little teams who win? We want to see the big teams that lose, don't we? And don't make it. We want to see United play Juventus and Barcelona play Real Madrid. We don't want to watch all these dozy little teams who are making their way in and being better than those teams, do we? No, of course we don't. So it's to make it more exciting. So they'll be meeting each other, all the big teams, more often, because they'll arrange to make sure by seeding it, how they're going to seed it, they're going to make sure we get a lot more interesting games. So there's a lack of jeopardy and a lack of risk involved in this system. Now, where are they going to get all these teams from? Well, the 32 come from the normal 32, the way they're going to do it. But there's another 4 places. Those 4 places, they're going to give one to La Liga. The second place will be who have performed well the previous year. So if you do really well one year, you're in. Okay, it don't matter how you get on in your own league. You can come 20th, I think. You're still in. Okay, as long as you've done well previous. And then the third and fourth places will be offered to those who have performed well in Europe over the last within the last 5 seasons. But you've got to be in your top 7. Which means there'll be teams going into this, but they won't make it into the other Europa League. They'll be filled by other countries like Greece and Turkey rather than the Premier League. So we'll be separated. Quite simply, we won't have all our teams in Europa League because. So basically, what it means is, as long in 2 years' time, as long as Liverpool getting that top 7, they'll be offered place 3 or 4, even if they don't make it for next 2 years because of their previous 3 years, because they're making it 5. It means don't panic. Even if they don't get in there this year or next, they'll be in the following.
Thank goodness. I was worried.
You're only going to miss on Europe once. As long as you can get in the top 7, not this year, but the following year. Okay?
Good-o.
What do you think to that?
Well, doesn't it just completely demolish the idea of morality? Not that football's ever had morality, but the morality is now gone. It's kind of a mini Super League, isn't it? Essentially,
well, that's what they've done it to stop them leaving. Yeah,
it's a mini Super League, in which these presumptuous top teams can now do whatever they want and play in the games they want to. But it could actually work against them in that, for example, it could be Liverpool who end up getting put back in the Champions League when we're awful and we go and lose 10 games and then we drop even further and further in terms of how good we are as a football team and then crash out altogether. I don't think that will happen to Liverpool, but it could. Barcelona, it's kind of happening. The fact they haven't qualified again into the last 6 money, Champions League,
isn't it? Because
it's about money.
The trouble is, at the moment, see, what's going to happen is Barcelona will lose all their money because they're getting knocked out at this stage. So they've tried to make it safer that Barcelona can't get knocked out at this stage.
And it may well do for a season or two, but eventually the system will not allow them to stay in the Champions League, and they will fall increasingly further behind. And hopefully the smaller teams will kind of gradually build themselves up and will be able to compete. But the fact that you can qualify for the Champions League based on what different people did, more than likely 4 or 5 seasons ago, it's the most rubbish thing, isn't it?
I mean, let's be frank about this. If 6 teams already, if they put those extra 4 teams in, okay, if you've got the Champions League groups up, can you see that at all?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, let's pick. Even we know all these big teams are getting knocked out. Who are the 6 teams? If they run it like this now, which 6 teams will get kicked out? Rangers with no points.
Yeah. And Celtic, Victoria Pleasant.
Yeah.
Celtic would. I'd imagine
they're on 2 points. Yeah.
I'd imagine Copenhagen would, and Maccabi.
Yeah, they've
Haifa
only got
would.
2 points.
And then
Hafia.
Yeah, they'd get. And then probably Dynamo Zagreb or someone like that. That'll be your 6.
Yeah. You see, so Barcelona, on the system that we're playing, they would be in still. They wouldn't get knocked out. It'd be those teams, and we'd be left. So Barcelona, even on this performance, would still stay in the competition.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't lose their money because these teams have done worse. The snag is, you see, they're trying to stop teams like Napoli in Liverpool's group that have done so well. And aren't they winning? Aren't they top of the league?
Yeah, they're storming it.
They're trying to stuff them out, aren't they?
Yeah, because all the CEOs of the top teams have come together and have agreed that they want to stay as the top teams and no other team can kind of join their group unless they have a crap ton of money. I'd imagine the Newcastle CEO might be invited next time. But yeah, your Liverpools, your Uniteds. United aren't even in the Champions League. Arsenal aren't even in it at the moment.
No,
Roma, um, like Sevilla in their league at the moment are 18th.
really.
Yeah, like
What about
the,
Ajax? I mean, they're in it, but they're not qualifying. Where are they in
they're.
there?
I mean, I'd guess they're top because they always win
But they,
Eredivisie.
I mean, they're like, I mean, they haven't actually been in the Champions League for a while, have they? Or are they always in it?
They're in it because their league is awful.
Okay,
But the Dutch league only gets offered one Champions League place and then one Europa League and one Conference League.
yeah, and they have to
So
go into the knockout stages before reaching the 32, don't they?
yeah, so they're given the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So
Well, this you see, Barcelona, etc., won't have to play these playoff groups to get into the last 36 ever because they'll be offered these four places. So they don't want to risk them ever not qualifying.
did you say that they're giving out one of the extra places to the league as well? So
Yeah,
they're going to have
yeah,
five. So
yeah.
you're going, which is incredible
Which
considering.
name the top five teams in La Liga at the moment? Who are we going to
Well,
get in there then?
Madrid, Barca, Atletico, Real Sociedad, and Athletic Club.
Never heard of the last one.
No, and you're the old kind of half decent teams in the league. Your Villarreal, Valencia. Villarreal are eighth, Valencia 10th, and Sevilla 18th. So why they are offered the fifth place? I mean, if you're gonna give it to someone, I don't see how they haven't given it to the Premier League. And I don't think they should give another place to the Premier League, but the fact they haven't given it to the Premier League,
Oh,
it just suggests how silly their system is already.
whichever team comes seventh in the Premier League will be given one of those three or four.
Well, whoever
Three or
comes
four.
fifth or
They'll
sixth.
always get that, won't they?
Yeah.
They will get that because the problem that all these foreign teams are having with the Premier League is that the Premier League is so bloody rich now that even the team that comes 20th in the Premier League is actually picking up more money than the teams that come top in the Champions League.
Yeah. Well, it's the
I mean,
fact
that's
that
what's so stupid. I mean, the fact is Fulham are getting more money than Barcelona.
well, that's because
They're
the
richer.
point Fulham have more big games in a season than Barcelona do.
Yeah, and the TV rights of Premier League is rushing in. I mean, we're way above what they get. They get bugger all. The only way they get any money is through the Champions League. They get nothing out of their own TV rights. I mean, that's
No.
why Barcelona have been able to sell most of theirs to get any money because there's no bloody point having it. I mean, it's just they need the money coming in from the Champions League and they'll do anything to get in it. It's the honest truth because without the Champions League, without Europe playing European football, their own country's football does not get watched on TV.
No.
And that's why the Premier League are slowly walking away with this. And with Newcastle on the up as well, it's just mad. I mean, how many have we got qualifying out of for the last 16? Liverpool,
Well,
all of them.
yeah.
Tottenham,
I mean, Spurs
probably.
should.
Chelsea, City.
Yeah.
So all four that are in the last 16 will sorry, in the last 32, we'll probably get in the last 16.
Well, and all 4 always do qualify.
Yeah, so we'll have 25% of the Champions League will be ours.
And I'd guess if we had 6 teams in there, 6 would qualify.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are going to have a problem, aren't we? Or are we? I mean, we will end up with all those extra places, won't we?
Yeah. Which is a good thing. I mean, again, for the morality of what football is supposed to be, no.
Klopp's going to complain extra games. Surely
Klopp's
he'd rather not play in Europe.
The fact that if you come, what was it, like 8th to 24th, you have to go into the playoff thing. That's just beyond belief. Genuinely is. Like, how is that a system? Like, how can your team who comes 24th end up being in the top 16 or whatever? And why is there a game to decide that? I imagine it'll be 2-legged as well. So there's another 2 games they got to try and fit in somewhere. Yeah. And then the World Cup will probably be held in.
I think it will be. I think
it is. And then they'll probably.
So that's 12 games instead of 6. That's doubled the games automatically before the so-called knockout stage.
And then they'll probably have the next World Cup in Death Valley. So they'll have to whack that in December. It's genuinely so dumb. So dumb.
But really the last point here has to be, if they do that, will the Premier League suffer? Because I keep saying Liverpool, that's because you're sat there, but any of them, Pep, Klopp, any of them, where will their heart go? Where will their sort of, they've either got all of these games, at least 12 games here, or how many they got in the league? 30.
38.
Yeah. I mean, which ones are bringing in the most money and which ones are really starting? It just worries me that there'll be more leaning towards the Champions League for all these teams and less interest in etc. I'm just worried about. I can just see them only wanting 15 teams in the Premier League, and that's to bring the number of games down. Can't have any more games. Surely we can't have any more.
I'm not sure it'll quite work. But from like a manager's and a player's perspective, they want to play as many games as possible. I'm not sure it'll work quite like that. But the Premier League will have a look at it and be like, they're playing too many games and they're our best teams. We need to give them time off. And so they could do something silly like that.
I reckon any team that qualifies for Europe is left out of the league and FA Cups.
They might have to be. So I'm not sure they'd be able to fit in the games.
That'd be interesting, won't it?
You know what? I don't think they'd care.
Would you?
It's a very good question. Did I enjoy Liverpool winning the League Cup and FA Cup last season? Yes. But was I all that bothered? I don't know.
It gave them less things to chart of winning.
Yeah.
And more chance for others because they're not there.
Your system is defined on 2 trophies. One in which you've got to play 38 games to win. The other is going to be 20. That's the thing. If you have to go through the playoffs, you've got to play 20 games to win the bloody Champions League.
I know.
Like, flipping heck.
I know. Interesting thought. I wonder. And I'm not sure I'm too bothered, actually, if they did leave the FA Cup and bloody well leave it for a bit more fun, rather than Manchester City versus West Brom or something, where you just see 8-0s in their final, where they put their second team out all the way bloody through, who are worth more than the rest of the league put together. And then for the final, they put their decent team in. I'm quite happy for the top 8 to piss off and leave the FA Cup to the football teams.
That was the thing with Liverpool winning the trophies last year was we won most of the games thanks to Minamino and Divock Origi. And yeah, at the end, it's Salah, Mane, and Firmino who get all the praise. It's like they played one game.
I mean, and to be honest, I mean, Wycombe played Manchester City in a game. Was that League Cup?
That was a League Cup.
Yeah, who cares? I would rather have beaten. I would rather have beaten. I don't know. Pick a team in the middle. Crystal Palace, who put the Crystal Palace players on the pitch. I would have rather.
I don't know. He still played De Bruyne against us.
It's not the same as it once was. So
No.
maybe, but there we go. I was going to discuss who's going to be England's next manager and discuss, but we do that next week because I wanted to discuss, if you want to think about it, about asking the women's manager whether she'd be interested.
I'd have a
Thank you, Kieran, for that.
phrase.
That's really
Yeah,
a bit unnecessary. Thank you. We tried
phrase
to
that
keep it
poorly,
clean.
didn't I?
I just thought I'd mention that, mate.
I'll phrase that as I would have her replace Gareth Southgate as England manager.
So we could title Kieran would have the women's football manager. Okay.
Sure. Please don't title it that.
No, I won't title that. I'll tell you, Paul, just in case you've made it to the end, I did actually go up to the wall and take a photograph of your photograph. And I'm considered putting it on the front of this, but I've decided against it. Paul, my friend who I still go to watch Wycombe Wanderers with, he's in hospital at the moment, suffering a little bit, and wish him well. And on the bright side, Paul, you didn't have to come to the Cambridge game. Look at it that way. But best luck. And I having a look at this photograph, I don't think I'm going to put it up. It'd be cruel.
He put it out there for the world to see.
He did. It's still on the. I think he was hoping that'd be taken down. That was put up, by the way, everybody, for lockdown.
COVID.
They use this sort of thing of put your photograph in for lockdown, and they've put them all up on the wall outside Wycombe's ground, and it's quite funny. I'm glad I didn't do it. I am so pleased I didn't do it. Anyway, do you want to discuss? You've got about 7 minutes. Do you want to go through the Football League?
I can do my couple of sentences, can't I?
You can.
Right. Saturday lunchtime, Leicester 0, Man City 1. They won because of De Bruyne's unbelievable free kick. Does it show that they can win every game without Haaland?
That's what they kept saying.
I don't think it does, because it was just a free kick that won them the game.
He hasn't scored now for 3 games, is that right?
Shocking.
Admittedly, he was only on the pitch for 2.
Yeah, I think 1.5 even. But we hope you come back, Erling. Need you for my fantasy team. Bournemouth 2, Spurs 3. Spurs got away with it. And some of the corners. Bournemouth defend the corners. Like, it's not difficult, lads. Come on.
It's not difficult, Bournemouth.
But the two weren't. The 2 that they conceded weren't. Brentford 1, Wolves 1. Don't know anything about this game. Oh, no, Costa got sent off. Good to have you back, Diego.
Did he? I didn't know that.
He headbutted someone.
He's back. He's back.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Isn't that what Wolves fans wanted?
Yeah,
what it was about? Some bloody interesting, exciting something, even if it isn't the football. Anything.
Because me and Nathan were watching the highlights and we were just looking out for because we knew he got sent off. We were just looking at what he was doing the entire time, and he started to put his head into someone's the other guy's head, and we're like, "Oh, here we go!" And it's a rubbish headbutt, like it's nothing at all, but it's still funny. Brighton 4, Chelsea 1. Well done, Graham.
I loved his comments at the end. Well, they don't have to like me; it's their opinion. So I didn't do anything wrong. I'm sorry, but doesn't he understand why they might just be a little pissed off with him? That he'd been building this team up and up, and for the first time, these people that have been going their whole lives, not for 7 years or whatever he was there for. They'd been
wasn't
going
there for that long.
whole lives, and he'd got them up here with so much hope, and then I almost said it, but I didn't. Then he goes away and takes everything with him and leaves them in the shit. I mean, I'm sorry, but of course they're going to boo you, and so would have I. And fair enough that you went. Everybody understands why. But if you don't get why they might just not be over the moon with you, mate, then I think you're a bit of an idiot. In which case, they're probably lucky you've left if you're that stupid.
Yeah, he's just a muppet. For even thinking that, was he expect like a big round of applause?
I don't know. No. I don't know. I mean, because what these people don't seem to get is that even after he's gone, they've got to still keep going. He might be able to keep jumping up, but that
doesn't end. No,
they're still there. They're not going to go anywhere. They're Brighton fans, and he's walked out on them. It's the truth. Of course he did.
No,
of course he did.
Yeah, fine. But
anyway, everybody enjoyed that score apart from Chelsea fans, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. Palace 1, Southampton 0. Southampton look horrendous. They might get relegated.
What about Edouard? What do you reckon to him?
He's all right. He's all right. He might go to a Brentford, maybe. I'm not sure he's that brilliant, but he's all right. He might be a backup for a bigger team. Fulham 0, Everton 0. Who actually cares? Newcastle 4, Aston Villa 0. Good to see you're back, Villa. Showing your true colours there.
Yeah. Do you know what bothered me about the Newcastle was Wilson for England comment.
Yeah.
International. I tell you what, if we're picking on Wilson to play for England, that really does tell you how low we are, doesn't it?
He did an interview recently being like, I should go. I was like, no, thank you, Callum. You can stay at home.
I mean, that really is low, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not good.
Callum Wilson for England.
Liverpool 1, Leeds 2. On Liverpool, you absolute mugs.
They couldn't keep the ball. The ball kept bouncing off their feet, didn't it?
We just need to get to the World Cup. Like, it's got to that point now.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we've qualified for our Champions League group. Otherwise, we'd had nothing to look forward to.
No. No.
So we might win the League Cup and FA Cup again. We'll see. If we do that, then more than happy this season.
What was Gomez? The Gomez goal. I get what Klopp was saying. The Gomez goal was Dumbo because first of all, Gomez didn't look where the keeper was before passing the ball back.
No.
2, keeper slipped.
Yeah.
And there you got a goal. Bad luck. But
it was earlier on in the game enough to get back, and we did. But then we just decided not to defend for their second goal. Oh well,
Liverpool gone, haven't they? They've just turned into a real below average football team.
I mean,
they still try to defend high up, which they can't do.
I mean, it was supposed to be that we would sign Bellingham after this season. And we've missed our chance because he's not going to want to come to us, is he?
No.
So that's that. Just tried not to be bothered too much.
So is Klopp next on the list to go then?
It'll be fine. Don't be silly. Arsenal 5, Nottingham Forest 0. Arsenal look good, as they always have done this season. Fair enough. Forest looks a bit meh. Don't know how they beat us. Well, I suppose I do know how they beat us because we're rubbish.
I thought Arsenal looked excellent. They look really good.
And then, United 1, West Ham 0. Actually, a very, very good header from Rashford, in all fairness
It
to him.
was, and I thought he played pretty well, actually. He's done himself a few favours there.
Yeah.
I thought he had a good game. I thought Ronaldo played well in that lineup. He wasn't selfish. He worked hard. I also thought, shit, Maguire is back playing. So now we won't have that to complain about. Less than 1 minute to go. Damn it, we haven't got that, which means he will be playing for England, everybody. He will be playing for England. Okay, Kieran, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And I'll say goodbye.